Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Today we are going to be reacting to a very famous video right now because Mohammed Hijab was on the Piers Morgan Uncensored show and he completely destroyed him and exposed all his hypocrisy. So we are going to react to the interview, but on the DawahWise channel, where they titled it Piers Morgan, You're Finished. Okay, let's get right into it.
This is a red herring because already 1,023 children have been killed in Gaza. That's why. And you didn't ask the ambassador that question.
I literally asked the ambassador.
No,
I said 3,000 people have already been killed in a week
sure,
in Gaza.
But you didn't ask her whether
did you even listen to my interview with the ambassador?
I did listen, but excuse me.
Well, don't put words in my mouth or say I didn't ask a question.
Let me ask you a question. Do you condemn the killing of those children by the IDF?
I tell you what I condemn.
He's not going to condemn nothing. You guys will see it in this video. Complete hypocrisy and complete double standards. The dude literally is the most worthless person in the world, but is what it is. Some people are just blind, some people are just fake, and some people are just evil, and he seems like he's one of them. So let's continue.
Welcome back. Last week I interviewed the Daily Wire's Ben Shapiro on the crisis in Israel. His powerful emotional analysis made headlines around the world. 5 million people have watched that interview so far, a measure of the enormous emotion and division this conflict has awoken. Well, among those viewers was Mohammed Hijab, the controversial pro-Palestine influencer with nearly 1 million YouTube subscribers of his own. Here's what he had to say about it.
Do you think Piers Morgan, on fair grounds, would try and speak to me about an issue like this? Or Ben Shapiro, when they know what I'm going to come with? Absolutely not. Don't pretend you don't know who I am. You've been watching my videos. You know what I'm about. Your silence is deafening. And your cowardice is apparent.
Well, Mohammed Hijab joins me now. Mohammed, thank you very much for coming in. I hadn't actually watched your videos. I have now. I've watched a few of them. I'm aware you've got a massive following. You've got nearly 1 million YouTube subscribers. You're an influential person, and you have a lot to say about this issue, obviously.
The whole thing about this being a fair interview is already not fair, just to begin with. One, he introduces him as a controversial pro-Palestinian, right? And the reason he does that is because he wants to already put this image and this mindset in people's heads that are watching, the public, just to pretty much make this a one-sided argument, right? So, like when he had Ben Shapiro on, he didn't introduce him as a pro-Israel controversial figure, but he introduces him as an pro-Palestinian controversial figure, right? When my man has so many degrees, he's an Oxford University graduate and all that stuff, but it's just to make people, think negative of him, and it's such a bad way to, keep sides even or be fair. And you can clearly see he's biased. He only has him on for like 22, 23 minutes as compared to Ben Shapiro. He had on for over an hour or something like that. Crazy, man. The double standards.
So I thank you for coming in, but I'm not too cowardly to talk to you. I don't have a horse in this race. I think I've tried to straddle a divide of being fair-minded with all sides. I've had all voices on the show.
I commend you for that, actually, to be honest, for bringing me on. But do realize I did caveat that with on fair ground. So let's hope that this interview is conducted.
I intend to be completely fair.
Yeah, sure.
I promise.
Right.
All I want to get to here is a real sense of what is going to happen. We can all look back at. We can all look back. Let me just. We can all look back.
Before that, Piers.
Yeah.
Sorry, if you want to say fair grounds, you introduced me as a Palestinian controversial.
I actually corrected myself.
Right.
Tell him.
Pro-Palestinian. I meant to say pro-Palestinian.
So why did the word controversial come into play?
I think you're controversial.
See, I think you're controversial. Well, you never said that for anyone else. You didn't say that for the people you had on before him. You're controversial too, just like he's gonna tell you right now. So what's this hypocrisy, bro?
So are you.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
So is the ambassador. Why didn't you introduce her in that manner?
I'm happy to say that to many people, her views would be controversial.
So why didn't you introduce me as the Oxford graduate?
Do you want to be introduced as that?
Yes.
Okay, or an Oxford graduate.
Go ahead.
Okay, no problem. You can be introduced as anything you like, frankly. It makes no difference to the debate. Let me ask you this. Where were you when you heard about what happened on October the 7th?
I was at home.
What was your reaction when you heard?
I was actually very sickened by it. And this is something I do want to put on the table because I think it's fair for people to know this. In our religion, we do not believe, okay, as a Muslim, I am a Muslim, and I do not believe in the killing of any man, woman, or children, non-combatants. That is not despite the religious teachings. That is because of the religious teachings. So in terms of condemning Hamas and just jumping straight into it, I condemn not only Hamas, but any other entity, okay, wherein it's proven that this has been done, that the killing of combatants has been done, therein I condemn any party that does it.
See, exactly. We're not defending Hamas. We're saying anyone that freaking hurts innocent civilians, and if that is proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, then we condemn that, okay? Initially, like for example, in my personal case, right, you had all these articles, reports saying Hamas beheaded babies, they raped women, children, this concert attack, all that stuff. Then those same news anchors and the United Nations reports and all that stuff, they retracted those statements. The IDF said they couldn't verify that stuff. So naturally, I'm going to be like, oh, well, okay. These were all just to influence the media, just to get the public thinking that one side is evil. All right? Just so that Israel can promote this propaganda and they can do their massacre and continue the genocide that's been happening. So you guys need to understand and, look past all these fake media highlighted reports, headline reports, and you got to see the truth for what it is. So we're not defending anyone who does hurt innocents. We're just saying, give us proof. Prove it to us, because your own anchors and your own articles and your own UN reports are saying they're not. When clearly on the other side, no one's retracting their statements. Israel is an apartheid state. Israel is committing genocide. The UN even talks about how they are attacking Gaza with phosphorus chemical attacks, which is an international crime, right? So just look at the stats, man. There's so many more Palestinians that are being killed than Israelis being killed. So I don't understand why people just can't see what's happening right now. It's so crazy.
Any party that kills people or strikes at people where it's more probable than not that it will hit a civilian target, I condemn them. And that's why I condemn the IDF. Because when they strike, they know that it's more probably than not going to hit civilian targets. They know that the majority of civilians, or the majority of people that are going to be affected, are civilians. We know that from the various operations that have been conducted. We know that because now in Gaza you find that there is a blockade, as you know, for 17 years, but also they're stopping them from electricity, water, which is a war crime under Geneva 4 of the Geneva Convention, Protocol 4 of the Geneva Convention. So this is.
See how Mohammed Hijab is referencing things and giving his proof under this Geneva 4 Protocol 4 Convention, right? But Piers Morgan, whenever Mohammed Hijab asks for a source, he doesn't give you anything. He just says, are you kidding me? Are you really denying this? Are you really doing this? Like, dude, bro, you have to give evidence. Like, what kind of journalist or whatever you are? Like, this is not how it works.
This is something I'm surprised you didn't actually mention to the ambassador.
Well, I did mention it.
You didn't say it's a war crime.
Well, I think it's an arguable point whether it's a war crime.
Okay, let me ask you now.
They are saying Israel, at the moment, Israel is adamant they are not breaching war crimes, right? It will be determined. It will be determined whether that's the case.
No, sorry. That's incorrect.
Mohammed, let me make a point to you back on that. I think surely we can agree that what happened on October the 7th was a war crime. I mean, when people are taking grandmothers and executing them, kidnapping young children, when they're killing babies in their cribs, we can agree that's war crime, right?
Okay.
See, he's playing to the alligator tears, right? If that stuff actually happened, then yes, it's a war crime. But why did your own news anchors and UN reports and all that stuff retract those statements? For the big ones I'm talking about. We're not saying innocent civilians weren't hurt. If that was the case, and the ones that did happen for sure, right? Of course, we condemn that. Like, if intentionally civilians were targeted, we condemn that. Whether that's Hamas, whether that's Israel, or whether that's anyone else. Okay? But the big scary news reports, the headlines, right? Those are not verified. Okay? The beheading, the babies, the rape, the kidnapping grandmothers. Are you kidding me, bro? Get out of here, bro. Give us your sources.
Babies. Surely, of course, 100%.
Right.
But babies in the crib. Sorry, what was the evidence for that?
You don't believe that happened?
CNN, the White House, Sky News, which you work for, all say.
I don't work for Sky News.
Well, you're thinking.
I did work at CNN. I saw one reporter who retracted it because she wasn't sure about the source.
It's unconfirmed by the White House.
But then the Daily Telegraph and the Jerusalem Post and other sources then did publish pictures.
First of all, you're saying it was one reporter, right? The White House unconfirmed it, and even the IDF said it wasn't verified. That is the IDF itself. Like, what more proof do you need? That's firsthand right there. Right? It just makes no sense. Dude is just so brainwashed.
Which
CNN,
indisputably show babies have been killed.
no, it showed one baby who's been charred, and that picture has been put up on Twitter and has been refuted by many people saying that it's actually AI.
No, that's completely untrue.
That is true. What's your source? What's your source?
See, the other thing is, right? Let's assume that picture is real, okay? Let's assume Mohammed Hijab is wrong about this, right? Because there's a low probability chance it is, even though many people have said that picture was AI. And first of all, Ben Shapiro, actually, who had that picture posted, also removed it. Why did he remove it if it was true, guys? Dun dun dun. Let's think about this, right? But regardless, let's give him that, right? Okay, the picture was true. An innocent baby was burned because the picture was completely charred and burned, right? And we condemn that. Like I said, even there's still the question: was that intentionally? Like, was that just a casualty? Unfortunately, that they weren't aiming at civilians, and that happened to happen. Because the intentionality is a big factor to it. But let's say it was intentional, we condemn it. Yes, we do. But in your case now, even if that picture is true, it doesn't prove your headlines because the headlines are talking about babies being beheaded. That is a picture of someone that's burned. Why are you lying on the media headlines? Come on.
There's been a thorough investigation into the claim that was put up there by some rogue person on Twitter that it was AI. It has been completely disproven.
Okay, let me ask you a
picture,
question.
which was published
What's
on
your
the
source?
Telegraph,
What's your source?
is a genuine,
What's your
legitimate
source?
picture.
What is your source?
Are you seriously arguing that babies weren't killed?
No, I didn't say that.
Well, what are you saying?
I'm saying, give me a source.
Yeah.
You know full well you've been fired from the Daily Mirror for fake images. So you know full well about the
I didn't accept they were fake.
Exactly. The UK government did.
Yeah, they did.
Uh-huh.
Because the UK government, just to be clear,
sure,
had waged, in my view, an illegal war in Iraq.
So you're allowed to go against the government, and I'm not allowed to go against the Israeli government.
Of course you're allowed to.
So tell me now, what's the source?
You seem to be making a lot of presumptions about me, Mohammed.
Yes, you had softball questions.
I was the editor.
Ambassador of
no, they weren't. I put all the questions to the ambassador. I was editor of the Daily Mirror when we opposed the Iraq war on the grounds that I believed it was an illegal war. Yeah. I still believe that to this day. I think it stained this country.
Fantastic.
I don't think you even knew that.
I did know that.
Right.
But that's not the point I was making. I was making the point that if you're allowed to go against a government in their classification of an image, then if you have pro-Palestinian activists who are saying, actually, we need to see a source, shouldn't they be entitled to that?
The Daily Telegraph published on page 3.
Should they be entitled to that, yes or no?
You're talking about, the Daily Telegraph said they had independently verified the picture, Mohammed.
No, excuse me.
If you're saying that their verification is wrong...
No, excuse me. Primary source in academia, I know you've done a journalism degree, which is, frankly, it's not relevant to what we're talking about here anyway.
Probably is to journalism, yeah.
No, it's not to this conflict, but we... academics require primary source evidence in order to make it.
The Daily Telegraph said. The Daily Telegraph said they verified the picture.
That's a secondary source.
Fine. You may say
that's secondary source.
You may say
that's a secondary source.
Well, you may say.
So you're just gonna tell me someone said this, right? And they verified it. But what about the other people that are saying they didn't verify it? So you can't take one testimony over another. You have to find the primary source. Okay, you have to find some legitimate claims to it, and you have to look at the time periods those things were released. So how can you just say, "Oh, what I say is true, but what you say is not true"? That's just dumb.
Say you don't think it's genuine. I don't agree with you. But the wider point.
That was my point. I said I want a source. I just want to see the evidence.
What we're arguing about here. You're not contesting that babies were killed.
No, I'm saying I want to see the evidence.
So why are you picking on the semantics of the veracity of one picture, which has been verified by British journalists? Why are you picking on that?
Apparently, asking for evidence in today's day and age to Piers Morgan is semantics. That's literally what he's, all about. Crazy stuff.
British journalists are
some
not
example
an
that somehow this wasn't as bad as it seemed.
British journalists are not an academic authority. You know that full well. You've been fired from Daily Mirror for that very purpose. What I'm saying to you is this: putting this issue to the side. I think you're trying to use this as a red herring to move away from the bigger issue.
What red herring?
This is a red herring because already 1,023 children have been killed in Gaza. That's why. And you didn't ask the...
Come on, do you really think he cares about the children of Gaza? He only cares about the children of the Israel people. And that's the difference between people like that and people like... We care about all children. We care about all women and elderly and innocent men and women that are not soldiers, okay? But to have always us condemn, but you never want to condemn anyone, even though Israel has been bombing Gaza West Bank and all these places for over 70 years. The Palestinians that are both Muslim and minority Christian have been killed over years and years and years, decades. Okay? You guys have the stats out there from 2002, I believe, or no, from 2008 to 2020. Forbes magazine talks about how over 5,000 Palestinians were killed, over 115,000 were injured. Okay? Like, I just don't understand. Even recently, Gaza, right, was attacked. In its core city, right, within the center of Gaza, like one of its biggest hospitals, they bombed it, right? There was a Twitter post from one of the Israeli people, and they pretty much were talking about how it was a mistake and it shouldn't it wasn't their target to bomb that hospital. Then they removed that post, right? And then now they're saying that, oh, Hamas was the one who targeted the hospital. One of their rockets or missiles or whatever failed and it didn't reach their target and it fell and it hit the hospital. It wasn't us, it was Hamas. Like, bro, are you kidding me? Are you serious? Like, how many lies are you gonna do? Like, are you not afraid of God, bro? Like, even if you're not even atheists, you guys are Zionists that claim to be Jewish. Like, my God, have some fear, man. There's gonna be a judgment day, and you're gonna have to answer for all these lives. This is crazy.
Ambassador that question.
I literally asked the ambassador.
No.
I said 3,000 people have already been killed in a week. In
Sure,
Gaza.
but you didn't ask her whether
Did you even listen to my interview with the ambassador?
I did listen, but excuse me.
Well, don't put words in my mouth or say I didn't ask a question.
Let me ask you a question. Do you condemn the killing of those children by the IDF?
I'll tell you what I condemn.
Yes or no?
I'm going to answer your question.
He's not gonna do it.
I've tweeted about this, right?
Oh, he's a devil, bro.
What happened on October the 7th was one of the worst atrocities I have ever had to read about or watch on.
It happens every day in Palestine. No. So why do you care about that?
It actually doesn't. It doesn't.
It does actually.
No. The Israeli forces.
I've got the stats for that.
Israeli forces do not go.
Cast-led.
Wait a minute, Mohammed.
Edge. Go and check it out.
Mohammed. Israeli forces.
Cast-led protective edge.
Israeli forces don't go into Gaza on one day and grab grandmothers and kill babies in their bed.
Yeah, they don't grab grandmothers and kill babies in their bed. They just bomb the areas and kill everyone. The grandmothers, the babies, the mothers, the fathers, the elderly, the soldiers, the innocents, everyone. They just bomb everyone repeatedly. They force people to leave their homes, destroy their homes, take over, all that stuff for decades, okay? That's much, 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 much worse. But no, in your eyes, this October 7th that you keep sticking on was the most horrifying terrorist attack in the world.
Okay. And hold on.
Rape and abuse women.
So, rape, is there any evidence for that?
It's been multiple reports in multiple mainstream media publications. But you just deny everything.
Oh, shit.
I accept that some civilians have been killed. I do accept this. And I already said
you don't believe any of the reports that women were raped?
No, I didn't say that. I said that it's still to be
do you think they were raped?
No, I don't know. It's like the Russell Brand thing. You said you don't know. You need to see the evidence. So why do you apply two standards?
Okay, so it's been reported.
When it's Israel, we know they're raped. When it's Russell Brand, you don't know because you're friend.
No, it's been reported by legitimate news sources.
When it's Israel, you know they're raped. But when it's Russell Brand, you don't know.
You know what else has been reported by legitimate news anchors? That a lot of those statements were retracted. My God, brother. Can you please have some logic and some sense in what you're saying?
It's Russell Brand, you don't know
the comparison between Russell Brand and what's happening.
It's the same thing. It's a rape allegation. Why are you stuttering?
I'm not stuttering.
You are stuttering. You don't have anything to say.
You're contesting every single thing that I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
I'm saying to you, at the end, 1,300 people were brutally
2,000 people have been killed on the other side.
Abused.
2,000 people have been killed on the other side.
I said that to the ambassador.
Okay, but do you condemn that, yes or no?
I don't think
so. You refuse to condemn?
No.
You do refuse to condemn.
Why are you putting words in my mouth?
Because you're not condemning it, are you?
What do you want me to condemn?
Okay, excellent. What do I want you to condemn?
Yes.
I want you to condemn the fact that the IDF, knowing that it's more probable than not, pressing buttons from the sky, killing innocent civilians, 1,000 of them children, that is a war crime and that is not acceptable morally. Just like you condemn the other one. Is it condemnable?
I believe, given the scale of what Hamas did on October the 7th.
See, it's always Hamas, Hamas, Hamas. Given the scale of what Hamas did.
Israel is entitled to
kill children.
No, that's not what I said.
Go ahead.
They're entitled to defend themselves with force.
Okay.
Bro, if they're entitled to defend themselves after being like war crime or whatever, right? Why aren't the Palestinians entitled to defend themselves and do just as bad atrocities as Israel is doing now, bombing hospitals and phosphorus chemical attacks and killing everyone, right? Since they've been persecuted for the last 70 years. They've been boycotted from their own homes, all right? They've been kicked out of their own homes and made to become refugees in areas like the West Bank and freaking Gaza and nearby areas as well. So why don't they have the right to fight back, even though international law states that the Palestinians have a right to fight back because Israel is an apartheid state. Can you please open your eyes, Piers Morgan? Stop being the biggest fool.
Interesting debate.
Sure.
If, as it seems to
Sure.
me, you believe too,
Go on.
Hamas are not a force for good. Do you believe that?
Well, I think that anybody who kills children and those elements of Hamas who are killing children.
Right, so we can
are not
agree.
fit.
So we agree. So
go
my
ahead,
point
finish
is,
your point.
if Israel's purpose is to rid the world of Hamas after the atrocity of October the 7th,
Sure.
how do they do that, given that Hamas embeds itself in civilian areas in the way that it does? Everyone knows that in Gaza.
Okay.
How do they do that
Excellent.
in the surgically clean way that you seem to think they should be doing?
Okay.
What about before Hamas? Why was Israel still persecuting Palestinians? This is not a Hamas issue. This is an Israel issue. This is a Zionist issue. This is Zionists that want a sovereignty, right? Even though, according to Orthodox Jewish rabbis, that the Jewish people are divinely exiled, and they're not even supposed to have a sovereignty. Even if it was an empty land with nobody living on it, biblically, they are not even allowed to have a sovereignty. This is so stupid.
Can I say?
How do you not kill civilians?
Beautiful. Can I
I don't like any civilian death.
Do you mind if I answer?
I don't endorse any civilian death.
Liar, because you just endorsed the IDF killing and defending themselves, right, to kill innocent civilians.
No.
Do I
don't condemn it though.
Hang on.
Yeah.
No, and here's why. Because I support Israel's right to defend itself.
Beautiful.
Now,
can I say
no,
something?
one more point. So then
Go
you
ahead.
can reply.
Sure.
But the question then becomes, what is proportionate?
Okay.
What is a proportionate response?
Okay.
I don't have the answer.
Excellent.
Because I don't know what a proportionate response to 1,300 murders is. When 260 young people at a music festival, most of them peace-loving people enjoying themselves at a festival, when they get slaughtered by people paragliding...
Yeah, give us evidence of that, right? Because you really haven't. Like I said, these reports are unverified, right? There's even videos talking about how that concert was a different concert before the attack even happened or something like that. So there's so much mixed reports out there, so much mass media propaganda out there, and these people like this just spread it, and it's all hate. Like they are part of like the most evil plots that you can think of. It's insane.
with machine guns. I don't know what the proportionate response is.
Piers, let me respond to
So can you tell me?
You've spoken for about 2 minutes. You didn't do that with the ambassador, by the way. I'm just showing you're saying fair, but you're not being fair.
I've said
Okay,
what I wanna say.
so let me paint a
I
picture.
will be fair.
Sure.
I'm genuinely interested in what you have to say.
All right, excellent. You're from Irish descent. We know that there was an IRA
Yes.
in Belfast and so on. Okay, so let me ask you a question now. If there was IRA in Belfast and they were occupying council properties and so on, and then we have a plane of RAF going to destroy that council property, destroy all of Belfast, flatten it, as one representative said, got live. The IDF said that, one of the IDF members said that we will flatten it completely. That's what we want to do. We don't care about accuracy, he said. We care about damage. That's what he said. You didn't question her about that. But anyway, if the RAF were to then go into Belfast and flatten, as the IDF and these guys want to do, if they want to flatten Belfast with all the white people, I'm going to use the term white, all the white people, council estates living in there, with the excuse that we're doing it because it's proportionate defense to the terrorists. What would you say about that?
Here's what I would say to you.
Is that acceptable or unacceptable?
Here's what I would say to you.
Yeah.
The IRA committed a series of atrocities over numerous decades. They targeted, in their eyes, military and political targets. They usually gave some form of warning, not always.
Okay.
They
were terrorists.
No, they were terrorists.
Sure.
They never, ever went out one day and committed the barbaric slaughter of 1,300... No.
See, it's always the barbaric slaughter on this one day Like, this guy is just like a broken record, just repeating the same thing over and over, not answering any of his questions, just sidetracking everything. It's so disingenuous.
If they did, if they
I'm
did,
sorry, it's
if
not
they did,
irrelevant.
if they did,
No, Mohammed.
if they did.
Here's why it's not irrelevant.
Okay.
They never did.
But if they did,
They never
would you
did.
accept
And by the
the
way,
RAF to fly
and by the way,
Belfast?
there were outrages committed by
My question is,
by
if,
the loyalist paramilitaries too.
My question is,
Here's my
if
point.
they did,
never
would you think it's acceptable?
They
or
never
not?
came close to committing an outrage
If
on that
they-
scale.
If
right?
they did, is it acceptable?
They
to
never
fly
went
Belfast?
in and kidnapped grandmothers or killed babies
If they
in cribs.
did, is it acceptable or not?
They believe they were fighting for better or worse, and I believe for worse,
Sure,
and that's
sure.
why I'm glad peace was found.
But I'm
They
asking
believe
if
they were
you're not
fighting
answering my question.
political and military targets.
I'm trying to bring it closer to home
But
to
you're
you.
trying to compare apples and oranges.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
It's you that's doing that.
The only comparison that I would say that we saw from October the 7th and what Hamas did is with ISIS.
Excuse me.
It's the only comparison.
Do you mind if I?
that
Let
bears
me ask you a
witness.
question. Let me ask you a question. A Palestinian.
And ISIS were taken
Please
out,
let me
by the way, with
you
planes.
keep
With
interrupting
planes.
me.
No, here's my.
You didn't do this with the ambassador.
I'm going to finish
You did this
the
with Ben
point.
Shapiro, which you gave the show to him.
No, hang on. I'm giving you
gave
plenty
the
of
show-
time.
No, you're not.
I'm giving you plenty. You asked about the analogy of a plane flying over and targeting.
But you didn't answer my question.
But that did happen, Mohammed, with ISIS.
Would you accept
To get rid of-
Belfast to be flattened
No, wait a minute.
or not? Yes
Wait
or no?
a minute. It never happened. So the like for like isn't
It's not. It's a
relevant.
hypothesis. It's
No,
hypothetical.
It's not. I don't do hypotheticals.
You don't do hypotheticals.
No, let's deal with
Okay,
reality.
let's deal with reality.
Mohammed, let me finish.
Last question.
No, here's the reality.
British public can see this.
Here's the reality,
Yeah.
right? Let's
British
just.
public can see this.
Yeah, they can see it.
Yeah, go on.
They listen to the debate,
Keep going.
right? For what it's worth, I think it's a good debate to have. Right? These are questions many people on the pro-Palestinian side are having. I get it, right? But you're trying to compare what happened on October the 7th with the IRA.
No, I'm not.
I'm
I used
comparing.
a
I'm comparing.
hypothetical
Wait a minute, Mum.
question.
I'm comparing it to ISIS. And the
you
way
compare
that the
it to
world
ISIS.
in the end dealt with ISIS actually was to use airstrikes. And many civilians were killed.
There's a huge
Many
difference
innocent
between the
people
two,
died.
which you're not,
They're not.
You don't understand it because you have no idea of the religious.
What's the difference between what happened on
there's
October the 7th and ISIS?
The difference between the Palestinian resistance is the following. Okay, any kind of thing which has Palestinian resistance attached to it, and ISIS, which is a brand of tekfirism, okay, is that ISIS is just one of many brands of tekfirism, which you don't know what it is, which is a kind of excommunication type heresiological Islamic sect. Okay, so if there's
It's nihilistic mass murder. That's all they care about.
Listen, I know what you're saying, but I'm saying something else.
You agree with me, don't you?
I do, but of course I do, but you're not understanding what I'm saying, so I'm trying to break it down.
I am understanding what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that anything
and I'm not anti-Palestinian, by the way.
Sure, please, but
over the many years, if
speak.
you bothered to check what I said about it, I have always tried to shine a light on the plight of the Palestinians.
Allow me to speak, please, because you're just talking over me. The difference between the two are the following, right? Even if we assume that the killing of combatants in most definitions of terrorism is something which brings someone to be a terrorist, okay? I would say that if that is the case, then the state of Israel breaks that threshold and meets that condition. Because why is Israel not a state terrorist? If their highest officials are admitting that we want damage and not accuracy. Answer me this question. Why is the state of Israel, who are illegally occupying Gaza and the West Bank according to international law, and even the ICJ said that, okay, which is, as you know, an organ of the UN, all right? So this is international law. They're occupying, they're seizing, they're bombarding, they're indiscriminately killing, and they're blocking the supply lines. They're using white phosphorus. They're doing what you call mowing the grass, which is every couple of years, every few years, they're killing the Palestinian people.
Let me
I want to understand.
See, he doesn't care about any of these points Mohammed Hijab is making. He's literally going to go back to the same old regurgitated BS, and this is why he is so insincere and such a disingenuous person.
What differentiates an Israeli in the sky pressing a button, killing the civilians, from somebody in any terrorist organization shooting the people? What differentiates it?
Israel will say it has a right to defend itself.
So will the terrorists? Right? That's what Osama bin Laden said.
Palestinians will say they have a right to defend themselves. What's your point? What is your argument, bro? Like, what are you, like in the second grade? Repeating the same BS?
And they will
That's exactly Osama bin Laden's argument.
No, it's not, though.
Yes,
Hamas,
it is. I read his fatwas.
Hamas aren't defending themselves. Bin Laden wasn't defending himself.
Define defense.
Bin Laden was trying to kill as many of the enemy as possible.
Let me ask you a question. How could it be that an occupier is defending itself in the first place. The notion that Israel is defending itself is as absurd as the notion that the rapist is defending itself from the victim. Because Israel is the occupier.
You haven't asked
hold
me.
on, hold on.
Yeah, but
Excuse me, let me finish. Just let me finish. An occupier by international law definition means that they are already in an offensive posture. If they're in an offensive posture, if someone brings you to Piers Morgan, grabs you by the thing, throws you into your bathroom, yeah? You're in your bathroom, you're screaming, and they're eating food, having a good time. One day you come out of your bathroom, you try and fight one of them, who's defending who from who?
Mohammed,
How can you self-defend when you're occupying? Answer me this question.
Let me speak now.
No, but answer the question.
Let me speak.
Answer the question first.
Fine, I'm going to speak.
Yeah.
Let me answer.
Yeah.
I believe that Israel's made a number of bad choices.
That's not answering my question.
Wait, I'm telling you what I think.
You're not answering my question.
Telling you what I think.
Sure, go ahead.
This guy is
I
so
don't think
dumb.
Israel's been perfect at all, right?
You said they had the moral high ground.
I think a lot of the decisions Israel's taken are wrong. I think Benjamin Netanyahu, by the way, his attempts to usurp the power of the Supreme Court this year in Israel has been a complete disaster.
Do you condemn them from killing civilians or not?
I do not. I will defend them this week.
Yes or no?
Wait.
I will defend them this week. So this week you could kill as many civilians as you want, do whatever the hell you want, because you're defending yourself. Freaking such hypocrisy, bro. Get the hell out of my face, man. This is dumb. You're lucky Mohammed Hijab is still in this video, or I would have been turned this shit off.
Yes or no?
I will defend them this week in defending themselves against one of the worst terror attacks ever.
So you can kill civilians for that?
You can target Hamas.
Can you target? No, hold on.
And if Hamas, the controlling, governing, ruling body in Gaza, hide amongst the public,
this is a false.
members of the public will die.
You're talking about fallacies. This is called the Moat and Bailey fallacy, which is that you're trying to defend one controversial idea by using another. It's Moat and Bailey fallacy. You can check it up in your own time. The point is this. I'm not asking you whether Israel has a right to defend itself. We've already said of the logical and legal impossibility. The logical and legal impossibility of an occupying power, according to international law, of actually defending itself because it's already. Let me finish. It's already in an offensive posture. Now I'm saying this: if it is the case, you're just saying it's defending itself against Hamas. Is the only way to defend itself against Hamas by dropping bombs in the most densely populated area, one of the most densely populated areas in the world? Is that the only way? It's a false dichotomy. You're creating a false dichotomy. They could do surgery. They can do insurrection. They can go in and they can target.
We're going to take
Hamas.
a short break. I'm going to keep you here. I want to finish this. I want to give you the time. I think it's an important debate, an important conversation.
Sure. But you have to answer my questions.
I will. We'll come back. Yeah, but actually, you have to answer mine. It's my show. Actually,
I can answer
for the record. You can ask me as many questions as you want, but I'll tell you what I think.
I've answered all your questions.
We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back and we're going to finish with a few more minutes. Okay. Welcome back to Piers Morgan says, well, Mohammed Hijab is still with me. We've had a lively debate. I knew it would be a lively debate. This is a very important issue. It's a passionate issue. People on both sides. If I tweet about anything, doesn't matter what I say.
See, he's trying to get the sympathy of the crowd again. Oh, it doesn't matter what I say. If I say something good about them, that side is going to be mad. If I say something good about them, that side is going to be bad. Trying to play the neutral ground, acting like he's, having some sort of sympathy and empathy for both sides when he really doesn't, because he doesn't choose to condemn the IDF at all, not in the slightest. It's just so shameful.
Side, if I'm even remotely sympathetic to them, the other side, poor abuse and vice versa and so on. Let's try and cut through it all and get to what happens here. How do we find peace in the Middle East? I've been covering Israel-Palestine since I've been a journalist, 3 decades. And it seems to me we're as far away now as we've ever been. How do you think we get to a place of peace?
You'll be surprised. Look, even Hamas, some 4 or 5 years ago, they even agreed to the 1967 lines, the borders. And what you have to understand, that this cannot be scapegoated on Hamas, because before Hamas's existence, this was still going on. This was going on before Israel's existence.
But do you believe in a two-state solution?
No, I believe in... Look, even Hamas was proposing a two-state solution.
But do you believe in it?
Look, there's advantages and disadvantages. This is a different... I don't know. I mean, it's a difficult one.
Could you imagine 2 states next to each other living in peace? Palestine, Israel.
Look, it's a possibility. I mean, as I say, even Hamas was saying that that's a possibility. I mean, this was 4 years ago. But what I want to bring to your attention is that nothing can happen if the international body or the UN becomes a toothless agency. In 2018 to 19, when actually 221 people were killed on a peaceful protest in Gaza. It was called the Great March of Gaza. 220 people died. Hamas didn't shoot a bullet. No rocket was launched. Yeah. So 220 people died, and this is even mentioned by the UN and these kind of agencies. They tried to bring it up, the Palestinian Authority, they tried to bring this up to what we call the ICJ, which is part of the UN. Okay. What happened is the Donald Trump administration, they threatened to freeze the assets of the ICJ, which tells you the following. What are the Palestinian people to do? Because the fact of the matter is, if they try and bring it up...
Let me ask you.
Let me finish the point. If they try and bring it up...
We're running out of time. That's why I'm jumping in.
But if they try and bring it up to international law, it's thwarted.
I do think...
See, when he's making his points, oh, we're running out of time. We gotta go. Why'd you give Ben Shapiro an hour, bro? Like, you only gave my man like 22 minutes, 23 minutes, and on top of that, you interrupted him so many times as compared to doing that with other people. Like, this was completely disingenuous on your behalf, Piers Morgan. You should be ashamed of all the so-called fairness that you present within your interviews and all that stuff.
International law matters.
Sure.
I just don't believe that any peace can be achieved with Hamas in charge. Do you?
Before Hamas.
Who cares what you believe, bro? Why do you think we care what you believe? It doesn't matter what you believe. What's the reality? The reality is there could be peace if violence stops. And who needs to stop the violence? Israel needs to stop the violence, because there was no Hamas before Israel even occupying these lands and taking over, and, you know, decades of genocide pretty much.
Now, after what happened last weekend.
Forget about last weekend. Last weekend is...
Can't forget about last weekend.
No, it's not. Before last weekend, before Hamas in 1987, this was still going on.
But not on this scale. And
worse.
No, it wasn't as bad as this.
What are you talking about?
What happened on October 7th
sorry, that shows ignorance
was
of history.
The single worst assault on a populace since 9/11. It was.
Yom Kippur War was 2,600 people died, by the way. 1973. That's false.
In one day?
In one day, I don't know, about 600 people died in one day.
Mohammed, I've got to leave it there. We've run out of time. I gave you more time than I planned to. Sure. I hope you appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you coming in.
So, guys, as you saw, Piers Morgan is a snake. He's pretty much, you know, not honest, disingenuous person, hypocrite. He refused to condemn the IDF for killing innocent civilians. He actually defended them, saying, I defend them this week. And that is sad. When we live in a time where people like this, that other people look up to, where they have millions of followers, and they promote such violence and hatred towards a group of innocent people like that, and don't want to be, you know, equal to both sides. You want to condemn Hamas killing innocents? Please do. We condemn innocents killing too. If they did that, we condemn it. But why don't you condemn the IDF? This is so stupid. I think it's, you know, deep down it's a bit racist, to be honest with you. He doesn't want to show it, but he probably is racist towards Muslims, even though he doesn't realize Christians are in Palestine too. But it is what it is, guys. So we wish our Palestinian brothers, you know, safety and ease for all the hardships they're going through. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, protect them and give them ease in this time. And that's it for today, guys. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.